folks, here we are. This is Mikey's in them. Menorcan Magic handmade cast nets here in a little cool St. Augustine, Florida this morning. Temperatures in the low 40s. It really feels good because it's been awfully unseasonably warm, but it's finally getting the winter time. What I want to do today is to a little quickie on the Flying Dutchman knot and talk a little bit about Dacron. I want to demonstrate the knot and then talk a little bit about if you think you want to get into Dacron. But I remember I've mentioned this to you many times about you really need to get proficient at tying knots and things before you attempt Dacron, because it's just so hard to untie the knot. You're going to make mistakes. Until you master it, you're going to make mistakes, and they're a pain in the butt to untie, and I hate to see you get frustrated and quit. You don't want to do that. So learn with the nylon and then advance up to this stuff. I want to show you a few little things of importance. The issue with Dacron on your needle is the fact that it will come off. It'll come off on you. You can see this needle here. This is that's an old needle I bought someplace. But anyway, off of eBay, I guess. See that gap? Can you see that gap? Oh yeah, you can see that gap really good. The issue with that is you couldn't use that needle for Dacron because the line won't stay on it. It's going to keep coming off. And the plastic ones you buy are no better. You can see the gap in that. You need to find your needle with a close gap, like this. I just made this one the other day. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see how close that gap is. That's what you want to see. Now, what we're going to do, probably in the next week or two, we're going to. By the way, I'm with my grandson Andrew here at his residence, and he's helping me with this. And what we're going to do in a week or two, we're going to do a video on making a needle. We're going to show you how it's done, how we do it. I always tell you, what you see me do is not necessarily the only way to do it, or is it the best way, but it's the way I do it and it works for me. But anyhow, so with that, too much gap, and a real close gap on this one, but that's what you want to see. Now I started this little, what I want to show you now, this is a little Dacron net. Don't you love that pretty blue? Anyhow, so I want to demonstrate that knot to you. You can see I'm using this is the mesh board, and I'm going to get started back. I'd already been on this row a little bit. Now the Flying Dutchman, as it's called, and I've asked you, and nobody's ever responded. If anybody had any idea where that term Flying Dutchman come from, let me know, because I don't know where it comes from. To me, it's the English knot. My Menorcan heritage, there were two types of knots: the Spanish knot, which has been around for thousands of years, and the English knot, which now, modern terminology, they call it the Flying Dutchman. Okay, and that is I've traced this knot definitely back to about the middle 1700s. I did find some literature on it that showed it. I know that's what it is. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to come around that little finger and see how I grip that. I grip that where you hold it tight, but you want to keep your little finger there. I'm going to make that circle. I'm going to come around on the back side, not the inside, the back side, through that loop and pick up my mesh. And when I come down with that, when I pull that tight against that mesh board, you feel tension on that little finger. That's when you let it go and tie the knot. If you do it too soon, you're gonna mess up. You're gonna have too big a knot. Okay, I'm gonna throw the circle. Come around, pick up that mesh, and tie the knot. Notice the gap on this needle. Now this is a different needle cord. One I'm using. Notice how the cord does stay tight on it. That's what you want to see. Round loop. Pick up my mesh. I gotta watch what I'm doing because I think this is a winding row. No, it's not. That's good. With that, and I'm gonna tie my knot. Around that little finger. Behind it. And pick up the mesh. A couple of important things to show you. I've done this before. When you want to make absolutely sure that you stay, on the back side, and you want to make sure that you stay inside of this loop. You won't have a knot. If you get on the wrong side of this, you want to stay on. Make sure that you're the inside of that loop. That forms your second knot. What I'm going to do is I'm throwing that loop. I'm going to come around, pick up that mesh, and make sure you pick up the next one. Make sure you don't reach over here and grab one on this side by accident. I'm gonna pull that down nice and tight. Bam. Now, you heard me mention earlier about the old Spanish knot. It's not near as good a knot as this. It's a simple one. Now, this is a knot that's been around thousands and thousands of years. It's just simple. You pick up that mesh, you pull it down on the board. And the secret to this is holding it very tight against that board. And when you're going to throw the same type of loop, you're going to come in between here, in between those two, instead of picking up the mesh. And when you tie that, you want to tie it up on top of that loop. If you don't, you got a slip knot. I'm going to show you that real slow motion. See what I'm doing? I'm picking up the mesh. I'm gonna bring it down. This is how you want to learn. Now, I'm glad I thought about that. This is the knot you're gonna use when you're learning to knit. This one right here. See, I'm pulling that down nice and tight. I'm doing this in very slow motion. And I'm coming in between here. Not in between here. I'm gonna keep it tight and I'm gonna come in between the loop and the previous mesh. And I come through there like that. Now I'm doing this real slow so you can fully understand what I'm doing. See, I'm gonna make sure, see that knot, can you get a good shot of that, Andy? It's up on top of the loop. You can see that, it's up on top. If it ties below it, you're gonna have a slip knot. That's one thing you don't want is slip knots. Here, I'm gonna pick up that mesh. Andy's doing this at different angles where you can really see what's going on. I'll pull that down tight, throw my loop, and just come in between. Now, see, it slipped on me a little bit. So what did I do? Reach up and caught that line and pulled it back tight. And then I make sure I got my knot tied up on top. It's totally different. You're gonna see that. See what I did? I run around the little finger, throw my loop, I come in behind, pick up the mesh, and when you feel tension pulling on that little finger is when you pull it. So it's a simultaneous thing. You comes off the finger and you tie the knot right together. That way you keep them, see how nice and tight those are across here? That's what you want to see. You don't want to see no bags, but you'll get to that. First thing, don't worry about, learn how to tie the knot. Don't worry about what it looks like. For your point of learning, you learn with that old Spanish knot. That was the one I showed you earlier. I'll do one more to show you. You just pick up the mesh, you pull it down, you throw your loop, you come in between, you make sure that thing's tight against the face of that board, and you tie your knot up on top. It's slow. This is a slow knot. This is the only knot he ever used. I know he was born in 1900. I really don't recall what year. I hadn't mentioned in what year when he learned how to knit, but I know he probably. I was 8, 9 years old. I was born in 1941, and by the early 1950s, I was making nets. So, anyway, it's been a while. It's been a while. Good close-up where you can really see what's going on here. You can see it so well that we ain't been able to do this before. Anyway, we're gonna come around the little finger. All right, and I'm gonna throw that loop up over the top, making sure I stay inside of it. Back side of your loop here around your little finger. Pick up your mesh. You catch it. And tie your knot. But I think we did really good today. Andy did some super close-ups on both of the knots. I talked to you a little bit about the Dacron. This is braided Dacron. It's super strong, lasts a lot, lasts you if you don't take the net out and tear it up. But anyhow, it makes a super net. We make these things in blue and orange and chartreuse and a beautiful. It's called pink, but it's beautiful rose color. I love it. And white. Anyhow, with that said, Andy's got a close up of what that net looks like. You can see the widenings, how they come down. You want to keep your widenings in a perfect row. He's picking them up really good. Just start up here, and I'm seeing right in line with one another. And you want to see that all the way down the net. Now, if you mess up and go buy one, don't worry about it. You're learning. Don't worry about it. You learn. You can we'll go over that another time. There's ways to do that. One of these videos, I'll show you how to work around that, because there's several of them I'm going to repeat from what I've done previously. If people don't go back and look at those things, you're talking about 60 videos, and you don't just want to go back. So I just kind of redo this stuff. Anyway, I think that this turned out really good today. And what we're going to do is, the next one we do, when Andy's up to it, we're going to do one on, he's got a nice little workshop here. And what I've got to do, I've got got plenty of wood. I've got cherry wood. I won't have any amount of what do I call this? Hickory. Ebony. This is ebony. This is called white ebony. It's a beautiful grain pattern. I think that you see that. I'll reach over here and show you this one. You can look at that. Look at that. This is pretty stuff. It's expensive. I'm not going to tell you. You can buy all of it you want on eBay. You got to buy a piece, and I make sure that I get a piece at least 16 inches long. You can buy chunks. You can buy the inch square. You can buy 2 inches by 3/4 and however many inches you want it. These people sell this stuff in all different sizes. But anyway, that's ebony. But I'm gonna tell you something. Hickory is a really good wood. There's a lot of good wood out there. Not maple. I've never made one out of maple wood. Cherry wood I don't particularly like. It's dark. And ebony comes in black, and I don't like it because it's hard to see. When I'm laying these new needles out, it's hard to see it. Hard to see your mark. And then, because you got to cut this, and we'll get into that the next time, all about that. I don't know. I think I pretty well covered what I wanted to today. Taking up enough of your time. You can contact me, Menorcan Magic, on the YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe to us, that's fine. That way, when we do a new video, you'll get information on it right away. And my email address is I've got two. The one that's dealing with the YouTube channels is menorcanmagic@gmail.com. That's MINORCANMAGIC. Or you can reach me at Usinamike, USINAMIKE @gmail.com. Love to hear from you. Make any kind of comments you want. And I do provide these nets. If you're interested in a net, just let me know. And we can sure fix you up with, I make bait nets, 5/8 mesh. I don't make it smaller than a 5/8 mesh because anything gets out of that, it's too small to eat and too small for bait. Mullet nets I keep under an inch. This is under an inch. It's an inch from knot to knot. Actually, you got about a 15-30 second actual mesh size, which perfect for mullet. They can't get their nose in it, so they can't do any damage. Our mullet run is really coming to a close here. The most roe mullet I ever caught in my life was on Thanksgiving Day. And but anyway, normally about the middle of December, they're pretty well spawning out, and they'd kind of disappear until next spring. But there's plenty of mullet right now. I was someplace the other day and around this little old creek that was close to where I had a doctor's appointment, and I looked out the window and they was jumping all over the place in that creek, big ones too. But then anyhow, okay, with all of that said, I'm gonna secure this. And I'll put a couple of half hitches on that needle. And I do that to keep it cord from loosening up on it. But anyhow, I think, did I cover everything, Andy? I think I covered everything. What I wanted to tell you. I'd be happy to hear from you. I got a pal in J.D. Powell over in Pensacola. He keeps an eye on me. What a wonderful friend he has become. He's genuinely concerned about my welfare. He checks on me all the time. Worries about it if we get a storm. And he's in a storm-prone area himself, but he's been fortunate. There's been skirted by him. He's missed out. We did too this year. We haven't had anything to speak of, just some, really not a lot of, one of them we had quite a storm, wasn't no hurricane, but we did get quite a bit of rain. But other than that, you guys take care of yourself. And Thanksgiving next week, right? Thanksgiving. And so with that, what comes after Thanksgiving? Christmas. That's when you have to spend your money, right? All right, guys, take care. Keep in touch with us. If you want to call me, interested in learning anything, I want to know about a net, it's 904-217-7974. We'd like to hear from you. Let me know with any comments. Send me pictures. I got quite a few guys that send me pictures. I made a friend with a guy in Africa. He made a net. I've told you this story before. He made a net, and Phil and I provided him with everything. There's some poor folks over there. We provided him with everything he needed to finish that net. We made the sinkers for him, and we sent him everything. But anyway, and he finished that net. A little bit big for him. He's starting him another one now, but anyway, I just shipped a net to England. And it took the guy about 3 weeks. He finally got it. He wrote me and told me he finally got it. He told me, he said, it makes you feel good. He said, ain't no way I could ever use this net. He said, I'm gonna hang it on the wall. He said, it's too pretty to use. That's great. All right, with that, take care of yourself. I'm talking too damn much. Until the next time, take care of yourself.